We stood no more than 10 steps away from each other. The human had leveled his weapon towards myself, and I had reacted in much the same way. There was a great deal of tension, and I mentally had to stop myself from fighting back natural instinct. The human, as he later said, was doing much the opposite. I was far away from my landing party, with a wounded leg, half a capacitor of munitions left, and utterly lost on the homeworld of the enemy. And right before me was the enemy itself. A cub by their standards, pointing, what we would consider an antique, right at my impact-resistant armor. I assumed he didn't know about the bullet-stopping properties of my suit and was aiming for my face. But again, he would reveal to me he had a different plan. I noticed the boy had a translator on him, and so I began to speak. "Human child, if you do not wish to die here, you will lower your weapon." The kid didn't budge. So I stepped closer, continuing to aim my weapon at his exposed center mass, said, "Lower your weapon, or I will be forced to neutralize you," I commanded. The boy started to shake. I could see his hands trembling as I inched forward. But his face remained stern and hard, transfixed on my own. It was not until I was nearly face to face with the small creature did I lower myself to his level, so as to properly confirm the finality of his actions. "So, you have chosen death," I concluded. I took another satisfying look at him. I enjoyed watching him tremble before me. The feeling of power was satisfying. It was not until it was too late, however, did I notice that the boy was holding his rifle in a strange way, the barrel facing towards his chest. The large end of the rifle rested in a relaxed stance, pointed towards the ground. The boy tightly gripped the elongated barrel of the rifle and raised the butt of his weapon past his own head, where he held it upright for a moment, gently twirling it. He planted his feet, right foot ahead of the left foot. I wanted to recoil my head, and more so, I wanted to shoot, but something inside of me froze up. Never before in all of my conquests had I seen a fighting stance such as this. And though I had limited knowledge of human firearms, I knew he would be firing directly into the ground with that pose. He smirked for a moment and then promptly introduced me to the sport of baseball. With a tremendous swing of his arms, he brought the butt of his rifle across my face, eliciting a deafening crack from my shattered exoskeleton. I was sent reeling to the floor, utterly dazed by the speed of the impact, my rifle tossed needlessly from my limp forearms. I slowly picked myself up, fighting the painful ringing in my head and the daze his strike had left me in. The human approached me, dragging his weapon across the ground. He spit as he walked and paused halfway to me so he could point out in a northerly direction. I assumed the gesture meant he was indicating the approach of something behind me, but I would later find, with the help of human sports movies, he was doing something else. Gone was his trembling anxiety. He strode towards me, with all the confidence of a warrior descending on his kill, imbued with courage from his previous strike. He pulled me up, still hunched over from the impact, so that I towered above him. I struggled to maintain consciousness. The human took a few practice swings before assuming the stance he had before. In a swift stroke, the butt of his rifle collided with my lightly padded hips, and I cursed budget cuts as pain rocketed through my body. That was all he needed to do before I collapsed in a spent heap, doubled over in pain. The human who had bested me, Henry, spent a good deal of time visiting me at the internment camps and talking at length with me. I found it strange how he could so quickly befriend an enemy, but I was in no position to doubt their friendliness, given the surprisingly humane condition of the camps they put us in. When I returned home, he messaged me quite frequently. Many years later, when I had spawn of my own, and time had healed many wounds of the past, I took them on a trip to Earth. It had become a surprisingly popular tourist destination for my people. I met up with Henry so I could take my spawn to their first baseball game. And so, I could catch up with an old friend, a tradition between us that continues to this day. I still cringe when I hear the ball collide with the bat though. Consider tapping the thumbs up and pressing the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video.